Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Blonde Cafe podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Villanueva, and I'm your 28-year-old millennial gal out here living my best life. And I'm here to help give you the tips, tricks, and tools to live your best life. And today I am joined by a very special guest, Katie Beth. She has become one of my good friends over the past year, and we met last year through the Beauty Boost. So if you guys don't know, that was my previous business. We did it all last year. We gave it our best go, and we pivoted this year. So Katie Beth has stuck with me through the trials and turns, and I'm really glad to have her here. So she owns her own design company. She is the master of all trades. She is a very cool person inside and out, and I'm so happy to have her.
All right. Well, thank you. I am not 28. I am 41.
Same.
Same. But I'm pumped to be here, babe. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And so I guess we'll get started into it.
All right.
And you tell me, how you got started, where you come from, where you go, where you going, Cotton Eye Joe,
Okay.
The whole thing.
All right. Well, this reminds me of the first time that we actually got to hang out. You had me speak. And I was on a panel, and I was the first one to go. And one of the first questions was, it was like the second question after we introduced ourselves. You were like, "What's the hardest thing you've ever been through, and how'd you overcome it?" And I was like, I looked back at her, and I was like, "Do you want the truth? Like, do you want the whole story?
Like, how far are we going here?"
Yeah, but what that did that day was it really broke open the mold for me to realize that, like, telling my story is a part of my testimony, which encompasses my mission. So to be able to do it in a more landed way where I can say it without being like, I don't know. Then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not ready," but here I go, and I start crying on stage or on front. But the story, I do love my story because I do think that God has done a lot in my life that most people have gone through, and I get the opportunity to talk about it. So that's the beautiful part. But I guess the story dates back. We started the company 5 years ago, but God had done a lot in my life to get me where I was before we started. So I lived in North Carolina. I was a single mama, and not doing too well. I was trying to heal from a vicious divorce, and I was not the best mom in the world. I could order them Jimmy John's and make the beds and do laundry once a week and like let some bills go and just like keep the lights on. Like, we were just struggling. It was just not good. And I know that a lot of people have been through that lifestyle, and I will never forget those days. They made me who I was, and it made my kids very strong too, but I still apologize to them a lot. Like, "Hey, sorry about Jimmy John's.
I don't know if you like Jimmy John's anymore,
my kids are like, "I don't ever want to smell Jimmy John's again."
The turkey and ham, I'm out.
No, what is the beach club or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, no,
that's a good one.
It's the best one until you've had it 20 times.
Yes.
And then
you're out.
Obviously, this is not a Jimmy John's plug today.
Yeah. Sponsor us, Jimmy John's. Wait, or don't. I don't know. Whatever.
We love that big gourmet here.
Yes.
That's where we love to go locally because everything is fresh and it's made like amazing. I love Laura, the owner of Bat Big Gourmet. She's one of my favorites. Anyways, I'll derail.
Gotta check it out.
Check it out. Oh, they got the cutest little drinks and fun little food. It's just amazing. They make everything in house. The chef Alex he's been there for like 10 years. He's incredible. Like, don't sleep on Bat Big Gourmet.
Yes.
Go there.
I'm gonna go. I'm here. I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So back then in North Carolina, my middle son is deaf. He just turned 16. Woo. And I have a 21-year-old daughter named Lily, and my son Max is 16, and we have now a 2.5-year-old named Ridge. He comes into the story later, and he's not eating Jimmy John's.
Yeah, he's eating Back Bay Gourmet.
That's
yeah.
Yes. But anyways, so he was in the deaf school in North Carolina. It started to shut down. Not completely. It was just the oddities were around. It was like, okay, why are all the teachers quitting? Why did the principal quit? Where are the bus drivers? Why aren't we doing schoolwork anymore?
It's like the red flags.
Yeah, there was just, I don't know what was going on. And I think since then they're flourishing again. But in those moments, I was freaking out a little bit. I'm like, my son doesn't have an education right now. We've got to move. We have to shift. And also, I want to move and shift too. So if that happens, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I had gone to school here for 2 years when I was a kid. So I remember Virginia Beach, and I remember the school systems being really great because when I moved back home to North Carolina, I was so highly credited. I looked like a brainiac, but I'm not one. I can like study.
Sure you are.
I can study hard, like make an A if like I really put my mind to it, type of thing.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Like I can make good grades if I really try, but I can also slack off from time to time too.
Yep.
But when I went back, I looked like I had it all together. But So I remembered that. I remembered what Virginia Beach did to set me higher back when I was a kid. I mean, I was here. I went to Kempsville High for 9th and 10th grade, and then I went back home in North Carolina. Well, I remembered that. So after lots of grueling tests of new schools every other weekend when I didn't have my kids, I would go try to find other schools in different areas, and I could not land on anything because my son's wish was he wanted to be in a hearing school with a deaf program because he didn't want to be like he didn't want to be shoved in any corners. He wanted to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
And of course, when you hear that as a mama, you're like, how do I? That's a heavy like load to bear because you're like, how do I supply that? Because his request is adequate, you know?
Yeah, like you want to make it happen.
Yeah,
like,
don't put me in the dark with a bunch of hearing people. Don't put me only with deaf people. I can't be a part of the rest of the world. Like it's adequate.
Yeah.
So it felt hopeless. Well, back 6 years ago, my brother, our pastor growing up, moved here and started a church, and my brother was getting baptized in Chesapeake, and he said, "Hey sis, will you drive to Chesapeake from North Carolina and see me be baptized?" And I was like, absolutely.
Yep. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. And it was after a lot of healing too, right? Just healing's so cool.
Yeah.
And the way that God does things, he's so cool. I tell him what to do all the time, and it's so silly because I don't need to.
You're like, why is he not listening? Hello.
Yeah. But anyways, so that Monday morning, it was just Max and I. You're good. We're driving back to North Carolina. I'm 2 hours out from home. And what was crazy is Max and I had just had the week prior a conversation about, we were in church and they were talking about hearing God's voice, and he's deaf. And he was like, I don't hear anything. I must not hear God's voice because I'm deaf. Aww. And I was like, no, son, that's not how you hear the Holy Spirit. I was like, it is in your gut and it's undeniable. You know that you know that you know, and you're not left out. But a lot of us often feel left out because we're searching for something more. But God isn't Carmen Sandiego. You don't have to go search for him.
Yeah.
He'll find you. Yeah, he'll find you. He'll leave the 99 for sure. So we just had that conversation a week before about hearing God's voice. And then the next week I'm driving back home, and I did. And it was this thunderous gut moment. And God calls me baby girl. And I don't know my dad. And so I have a very strong father relationship with my father. So it's different for me maybe than some, and probably similar to others, right? Mm-hmm. So he said, baby girl, I need you to turn back around because exactly what you're looking for and have been looking for I feel like forever, is back where you were. And I'm like,
oh, are you sure?
Like, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
Like what? And like that was not the goal. Yeah, that's not the goal. And so I did. I turned around and Max was like, what are you doing? And I said, sometimes in life that voice is going to be so loud that you just have to be obedient even though you have no idea what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, crazy woman.
Let's go.
As long as it doesn't involve Jimmy John's, I'm in.
I've got my Jimmy John's in the back seat. We're good.
So we turned back around. I go to Salem Elementary because I remembered that school because my brother went there.
Okay.
And I walked into the front desk and I said, hi, my name's Katie Beth. This is my son, Max. And the reason I'm rolling my eyes is because I've said this spiel so many times. I'm tired. I feel like I just don't have any more energy left to find what we need. And I'm still flat on my face, right? Flat on my face and tired. So I say it almost like I've recited the story so many times. And I said, we're looking for a hearing program a hearing school that has a deaf program inside of it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I say it, the assistant principal comes gawking out like a chicken.
Oh my gosh.
I know. She comes out of the course like, you don't know exactly what you are looking for is down the street at Corporate Landing Elementary. And
That's
of course,
so funny.
I know. I start bawling my eyes out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I'm crying, but like we've been looking for this forever.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you can't go visit. We have to schedule a tour. And I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Just let me in, please. Yeah. Like, I'll sign the name, right here.
So we did. We got in the car. We drove over. We walk in, and all these hearing children are walking up to Max. At this point, he's, I can't do the math. Is he 8? Is he 9? He's 9.
Yeah.
And they're all signing to him. I mean, it is like touching heaven for him, right?
Oh my gosh. He probably was like feeling like so included and like, all these are my friends. Like,
yeah, he was so included.
That's awesome.
And so of course he looks at me like, make it happen, woman. And I'm like, sure thing.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'll get right to that. I have no idea. Like, obviously, like, I don't have a job here. I don't have a home here. Like, what in the world am I actually really going to do?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I can't remember because trauma doesn't allow you to have great memories. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember how we got from point A to point B. I wish I would have journaled back then.
Right. Yeah. I had some kind of document. Yeah.
I wish I would have. And I encourage everyone to journal when they're going through those things. So you could have small reminders of what you really are going through. I feel like when I talk about my story, those are great reminders to remember too.
It jogs your memory a lot.
It does. But we got here, and he started school at Corporate Landing. My first job, I was a director of business development for a real estate investment firm. So all I was doing was I was interviewing real estate agents all day long, trying to sell like our short sales. And so my first networking ability in this area were all these amazing real estate agents,
networkers.
Yeah, they're out doing,
that's so true.
Exactly, like the same grind, right? It's the same day-to-day grind. They're out there trying to make paper, you know what I mean, and like connections and the right ones, and the same energy that it takes to run the company that I do. Most people, when they meet me, they're like, "Are you an agent?" I'm like, "I know, I got agent vibes."
It's the big personality. That's what it is.
Yeah. So then, COVID hit. And we all have a when COVID hit story.
Of course.
We all do. And I hope that we're all reminded like there were some amazing things during that time, because there were. It was hard, but I think we were all left with gifts along the way, even though they're tiny little nuggets.
Little pockets, you know. I agree though. Yeah.
So COVID hit, and they had virtual learning, and they didn't have interpreters for the deaf children instated yet.
Okay.
Because the way that Corporate Landing does this, and I love it, they don't have an interpreter that walks around with you all day long. They do it like they do in the real world. Like you'll have one in science, you'll have one in PE.
Oh, like live time.
The way you would have one at the dentist office, or the way you'd have one at the DMV. Like they make sure that you have them appointed.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they needed to get that in line. They needed to have that all scheduled. Well, I asked my boss if I could stay home for 1 week. Everyone was working from home anyways. To interpret. He told me no. And after I cracked my neck a little bit, I'm like, okay, all right, well, my back's,
let's go.
Let's go. I'm frustrated, and I'm like, well, I have to do this. My back was up against the wall. It felt hopeless, but what was getting ready to happen changed my entire world and my kids' worlds. So I'd already gone to school back in the day for interior design at the New York Institute of Art and Design, but I had no desire to ever start a company with it. I don't have business sense. I just keep a lot of really smart people around me.
Yep. That's what my dad always says. He always says, you don't have to be the smartest, but know all the smart people.
Yeah. Hire the right people and get the hell out of the way.
Yep.
So I heard that. I was in Hickory one day, and my girlfriend Kimmy and I were sitting together having breakfast, and this guy, had our laptops up, and he was sat beside us, and he said that to me, or to us. He's like, what do you girls do? Like, we're designers. And he was like, I always say, hire the right people, get the hell out of the way. And I was like, dude, I want that on my tombstone.
Yes, exactly.
I like
make t-shirts.
I want to say it to a lot of people.
Yes. That's why I'm bringing you on here. You're like way better at this. So
But so that week, back then you could put Facebook Marketplace, you could put services. Now you can't. It's legal.
Okay.
But back then you could. So it was obviously interior design. So my girlfriend let me design her house for her living room for $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Not to pay, for the product.
Oh, okay.
How I did that, I will never know. I will never know. We did a lot of DIY back then.
Did that include like furniture and like everything, or was it just like knickknacks?
We did, but we found the furniture from thrift stores and small. And we painted all the cabinetry because there were built-ins. We painted the fireplace, painted the mantle. Took the decor she had and resurfaced it at different places. Like we just went ham on it,
Yeah.
And it turned out really cute. So I was like, I have a before and after picture.
Right.
And so I labeled it "Design on a Dime" with North Carolina accent.
Yes.
And before and after picture, consult's $100.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I remember praying really, really hard, like, God, if you will give me the nerve to jump here. Like I am not asking for abundance. I'm at a small, tiny apartment.
Right.
That is a scary little place to live in, but it was my first apartment here. And I was just asking us to not lose that apartment, right?
Yes, like just keep roof over my head, food in my mouth, like my kids.
Yeah. And but so that very week, 7 women booked consultations with me.
Oh my gosh! So where did you advertise? I gotta know.
Facebook Marketplace.
Just Facebook.
That was it. I didn't know I didn't know how to even advertise.
Nothing else. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be something else.
No. So it was just Facebook Marketplace. But of course, if you're putting design on a dime, people come.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't do that anymore.
No,
not anymore. But anyways, so all 7 of those women, they're all women, all booked me as well. They all we contracted as well. So I was instantly off to work. I put my 2-week notice in at my job, and I was heavy in the paint. I didn't own a screwdriver. I didn't own a drill. I was like, well, I better go on Amazon and order like one of those little pink kits. Like,
yeah.
like,
I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah, I was by myself. I look back, I'm like, how do I even hang window treatments by myself? What did I do?
Right. In that moment, you're like okay.
Put a broomstick on one rod and go to the other side.
You got your foot up. You're like, I'm good.
I have no, like a spider monkey. I don't know what I did. I don't remember. Again, those little
duct tape it up there for a second.
I should have had you. You'd be like, girl, use duct tape.
Yes, I would have given you tacks, duct tape, whatever. Like anything.
Well, now that's the takeaway. If you're by yourself hanging window treatments, all you need is some duct tape.
Duct tape. That's it. There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's what you do here at KB Design. We just duct tape the walls. I'm kidding. Edit that one
and
out.
then spray paint it. You spray paint it after that.
Yeah.
Good.
But what I learned quickly was most of those women out of the 7 were coming out of really big battles. Mm-hmm. And I too was. And so I was getting best friends in this area as well.
Yeah.
And so one was coming out of breast cancer. She just beat breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to capture back peace. Mm-hmm. And she wanted a new chapter. That's traumatic as hell. And she wanted like a place to recover from the battle. She was licking her wound still. Mm-hmm. And I have chills all over right now because it was big. And then like the second one, like she just got out of a horrible divorce, and the husband had an affair for like 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it was just nasty. And she needed like her life back. Yeah. And she wanted to capture it in the form of peace. And so I quickly realized it was not about design or the proper selections or fabrics that match the window treatments. Yes, we do that, but it wasn't about that. It was about my mission, because I too had gone through similar hells, and I knew what it felt like to capture your peace back and fight for that. And to like lock arms with women and do that. And then get to tell your story. Like, are you kidding me? Like, pinch me. Like,
you're building like a tribe at that point.
Yeah. So of course, at first it was about clients because I was by myself, and then it quickly turned into team, because then as we grew, or as I grew, we became a we. Mm-hmm. And that, I'm sorry I get choked up, but like, the women that I get to surround myself with are just absolutely magical. Mm-hmm. And I get to be inspired every day. Like I say this all the time, like Sunday night when everyone else around me might get that cloud of like, gosh, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I get the complete opposite. I get a huge jolt of energy, knowing like I get to do this again tomorrow morning. Like I can't wait for the sun to rise so I can do it again. And that is alignment, in my opinion, right? Like if you can find what sets your soul on fire on Sunday night, you figured it out. The rest is gravy.
I love that. That's the takeaway. Close the laptop. Like, we're good. Like, yeah.
Sorry, I took
No. That just shows you how powerful it really is. Like, you can see it. Like, it's changed your life from quite literally like single mom that's like doing everything she can to work hard and provide for her kids, and then you had that nudge of intuition of God, of everything. Just nope. Okay, this is where we're going. And then all of a sudden you kept taking one step in front of the other, and you didn't know where it was going to lead you, but you just kept going. And and look how much it's changed your life. Like, and all these other women's lives. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
That's, I think, a huge thing. Is I feel like a lot of times, like, people, they think of design and, oh, it's just an accessory. It's just something, something special. Like, okay, yeah, I'd love to have this, but it's not a need. But it's the true powerful transformation of changing your space. Just like, the women that you mentioned, like they wanted a space for peace. They wanted a space to cultivate in their own, and you get to share that, and you get to wake up every day and be excited about it. Like no more Sunday scaries. Like
exactly.
That's honestly, that's what I'm chasing. Like that's the feeling that I feel like everybody wants to have. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard as hell. Yeah. You can't give up because you're going to want to.
Right.
You can't give up. You just can't give up. You just have to be stupid enough to never give up, and the rest will come. You know what I mean? I feel like it's all, you grow like this. You kind of dip down, you grow. You dip down, you grow. You have to start over. You have to let go. You've got, there's a lot that goes to it. You learn a lesson, and then you look back, you're like, man, I learned so much.
Yeah.
You know? And so now we're to a place that we're doing high-end residential and commercial. We are doing a huge restaurant campaign right now, which is a really big deal because we're not just designing, we are upbranding restaurants in the area. We just finished a 3,400 restaurant campaign. So we are going to go in. We have an in-house restaurant consultant that's going to go in for that function and flow, like behind the bars and for the servers and for the kitchens and for the dining space, to make sure that everything does have that flow and function, because it does matter. Space planning, making sure the ice is near the shaker glasses. Like this is still,
little
like
things,
the little things that can really rub against your flow, making sure that that's good. So we have an in-house restaurant consultant. We're also going to design based on obviously her advising us as to how it really needs to be planned out. And then on the back end, we're going to do a lot of marketing, marketing like a marketing company. We're going to give them all the marketing juice. We're going to give them all the videography and photography to use for their social medias, Google, websites, everything. It's going to look so amazing as they up-brand to really put them on the map. So we are like really pumped to really start this endeavor because we love doing restaurants. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you guys just did Jose Tequilas, right?
We did. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was amazing.
And so fun fact, that location, the specific location, is the first place that my husband and I had our very first date.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you been back since we finished it?
Honestly, we haven't. And I kept telling him, I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta go. Like, so
if he doesn't, I'll go with you.
Yes. So we will go.
Yeah. I love just go sitting there.
Yeah.
I love those guys too. They're so amazing. So amazing. Yeah.
It's a beautiful spot. I mean, from what I've seen for your pictures and like everything, like I'm really excited about it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess, so I know, so you kept putting one foot in front of the other. You kept just trugging along, even though you didn't know what was going to come next. You're in that feeling of you're finally excited to get up and work tomorrow. And how did you kind of like, I guess, like scale and like keep going even when the going got tough and you're like seeing success and then something weird happens, or you're seeing success and then like whether personal, professional, setback, and then you gotta like.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is when you start to feel a setback, it's really hard to look inside yourself or look in that mirror and be like, there's something that I don't know. Because that's why you're facing a setback.
Yeah.
There's something that you don't know. So you have to have that mirror moment where you have to create a new process or a new system within yourself and your company or whatever you're building, whatever it is, because if there's something you don't know, but there's someone around you that knows it. And so whenever you hit a hardship, if you can literally turn that into, okay, there's something I don't know. What is it? Like, you don't have to like beat yourself up over it, but get excited about learning something new. And I feel like processes and systems are a huge one. When I first started, I told you, like, oh my gosh, like it was just a mess. Like I just it was all up here and all down here, and so then obviously as you grow and you have the income to also create good processes. They're just really important, but you also want to be careful that you don't spend too much of that income over processing, over systemizing, or over marketing while you're still trying to build a nest egg, because I made that mistake too. I was like, oh, we got a big drop in the bucket. We better go put it here, here, and here to get better. And then, oh, now we're dry again. Right. And we're not better. Like now we're working all these kinks for these new processes. So that is like a huge hiccup. Like you can rest your laurels on a little drop in the bucket without going to the next big thing. And I have a huge squirrel tendency to do that. There's a big drop, I'm ready for the next big thing. Little drop, next big thing. But there's nothing wrong with also sitting in it and just premeditatively becoming organized in your next process before you jump. I should, when we play this back, I need to listen to myself say that.
Okay. Yeah.
And don't let my husband hear that.
No. That'll just be a clip between me and you.
Yeah. You know? Send it to me like, hey girl, every morning, Sunday night.
That's right.
Yeah.
Replay. Yeah.
Back to clients really quick though, because I missed a big chapter. So moving here though, a year later, I did meet my husband. He's in the Air Force. He moved here from Denver, Colorado. And so we married and then we had a baby. His name is Ridge and he's the one that's 2.5. But my takeaway about clients that I missed that is so important is that at our baby shower, I look over at Evan, that's my husband's name, and I kind of nudge his shoulder. I'm like, look around. And I was like, everyone here's a client. Everyone was a client.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, not everyone, but like 90% of them were a past client. And I was like, that's magical to know that's how this is going, you know? Yeah. I missed that part. That's a big one.
No, but the way that it becomes your personal relationships at that point, like you meet in a professional setting and then it's like, oh my gosh, like this is one of my closest friends that's literally celebrating my new baby. Yeah, like you can't get much more close than that.
One of the 7 clients that I had that I was speaking of, she married us.
Oh my gosh. That's even better.
She went all the way to North Carolina for our wedding and she was our officiant.
Oh my gosh. See, that's even better. And that's creating like a home away from your home too. It's like now you have your people here, you have your tribe, you have, everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
and we rarely go back home anymore.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah, exactly. You just cultivate that space.
Yeah, this is home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Being from Ohio, it's like I like that'll always be like, like my home where I grew up and everything and like the soft spot. But here I was just thinking the same thing. Like we've cultivated our home with our friends and our connections and everything. It's like this is like we had one of our best friends marry us here. Like,
I love that. OH.
Yeah, I am. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But so and you can get as in depth as you want or not in depth. But what's like an example of like a setback that you had along the way, like when you were first starting, and then now you're like, oh my gosh, I look back on that and that's a drop in the bucket compared to where we are now.
Yeah.
Like, but it seemed like a massive mountain at the time.
I think that there's a blanketed answer to that, and I could pinpoint an example. I think anytime that I've faced bigger setbacks, it's when I have had processes in line and I didn't stay close enough to the fire, and I felt that the process was well suited and ready to rock and roll, and then I move on to the next thing, and I lost grasp of where that was at, and then you start to watch it fall apart a little bit. And obviously you have to delegate and have the right people around you, but if it's your baby, stay close to the fires that keep you burning. Like stay close to those, because like stay close to your clients. That's a big one. Like for me, like if I get so processed that I'm literally just the CEO and I'm not walking in the home meeting Bill and Nancy with their 2 kids and dog named Rocky or whatever it is, and I forget how quickly I forget that importance, and then we become so systemized that we're corporated out. Yes, I do want to grow enough to have we do want to start a new KB design in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's our next, like, we want to start a branch there.
Yeah.
And we do want to start our own construction company called KB Builds. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. Like
the pink overalls are coming out.
Yeah, they're gonna be everywhere.
I'm in.
Everybody's like, are you guys plumbers? I'm like, do we look
right?
Like
plumbers? I'm in here. I'm here to fix your pipes. I'm here to get in your toilet.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like Princess Peach vibes.
Right?
But I think that's it. Forgetting, so blanketed answer, forgetting the mission, forgetting why you're there, and becoming so systemized that you lose what your mission statement is. And I am guilty of that, trying to get so systemized, getting people in those places so that I can just rock and roll on higher levels, and then you lose where you came from. And that's the biggest one. So I don't know if I have an exact, like I said, I would pinprick that example, but I don't know if I have one because I wouldn't want to call out when I've done that. I don't want to call myself out.
Specifically this one.
Yeah, I don't want to call myself out, but there have been times where I have how quickly I've forgotten where I came from.
Yeah. And I feel like that sets you apart too, is that you still want to have that personal touch. You still want to be able to, walk in and know your clients and know, like show your face on it and be able to actually be close to it and say, oh, this one wasn't quite right. Let me fix it. Or, let's pivot. Let's do this or something different.
Yeah, and it's also nice to bring those little accoutrements to the space. Like it's really neat to, like, here's an example, and I don't hopefully this doesn't air before we present it.
No, but we can pick the air date whenever.
Well, anyways, we're doing a family's space, and they have 2 sons, and they're big soccer fans. The boys are like amazing soccer players, but they love like the football leagues, and so one son, and these guys are. They're adversarials, but one son is a Manchester City fan, and one is a Manchester United fan. Okay. If you're not a soccer fan, you just hear Manchester and you think they're the same thing.
Yeah,
they are not.
Let it be known,
the same thing. And so, of course, like, I mean, so don't air this until
I won't
in this part. But we're presenting on April 8th.
Okay, got it.
And the sons really won't be there, but I mean, just finding this beautiful black and white artwork that's 3D over the bed, that's like the stadium for Manchester City. They don't know it's coming, but when we walked in, like I saw, I was like, oh, this guy's a City fan. And like my husband does not like City at all, so I was like, so I like send him a picture, I'm like, babe, is this City? He's like, why are you asking me that? like seriously,
sorry, I need to know.
Like that's like an important thing. Or like another example, like commissioning the right art, the right artwork. Like we had a couple that they were married during COVID, so their whole wedding got canceled. Their whole wedding, every bit of it. So there were no guests, but they still went and got married under this arch. So we found this beautiful artist we have an art commissioner. His name's Jay Gutnick. He's so intentional. But we went to him. We're like, okay, this couple, they went through this trial and it sucked. And they just got married. They were also like going through a lot of other things, and so we were able to commission a piece of artwork that took that arch and made like a watercolor. It was like hidden, and we put it in their bedroom between their sitting area where they'll sit every day to like talk to each other.
Oh, that's
like,
amazing.
Like if I wasn't close to the fire, I would have never known that battle, right? I would have never known it. And like hiring the right team that knows to pick up on those things too is so important. So important to know your company's culture and make sure your team aligns with like your culture is so important, so that when they walk through that room, they know that Braden loves Manchester City, not Manchester United. You know what I mean? Like, It's so important, making those selections very tailored to those spaces. So when they do walk in, those things that you see on TV, they're probably like dramatized.
Like home makeover.
Right. Yeah, that is real. That they walk in like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you thought of me, in that space. So that, I think that is just like so important when it comes to staying close to the fire.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect lead into my next question for you too. Okay. Is how do you think people's spaces really, really impact their lives? Because I know, like, especially as women, I feel like we kind of get more impacted by our surroundings than men. Yeah. Like, I feel like guys, you hear about the typical like college guy apartment that has one lawn chair and a PlayStation 4. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And so it's like, but women are like, no, I need to have like my matching cups and my matching whatever, and like this decor on the wall, even if it's a $12 thing from TJ Maxx. Like that's me. But like, what is that impact on somebody's life, and why does it matter? Yeah. And Brandon, my husband, if you're listening to this, please listen. Okay, Brandon. For everybody else. All right, Brandon, this is for you, bud. I'm kidding. You can totally have that lawn chair. Yeah. That's it. I'm done. I'm kidding. So actually, most designers take this course in school. And when you first see you're going to take this course, you're like, what a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a feng shui class that a lot of us take, and it's very important because actually over time, if you are moving your body in a space, that's why space planning is so important, where your actual shoulders are like twisting from your hips to get around, kind of like how we would walk around in space. Mm-hmm. If you had to do that every day, all day to get out of bed, it actually impedes upon your internal peace over time, and you're mentally unaware of it. Oh, and so I do that every morning. I have to walk around my bed in my dresser. Like, sorry, Brandon. I gotta move it. Yeah, sorry, Brandon, we gotta move your bed. DIY, move it. Move the bed tonight, honey. Yes, but it does. So, or you could, that moment like where you had a vase in front of a light switch and you moved it somewhere else, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow. Mm-hmm. I did not realize how annoying that was for the last 5 years. Yes. And now you feel free. And I know it's something that's small, but imagine if it was in your day-to-day living at every corner you turned. Yeah. It's so important. Space planning is so important. And there are actual like design rules that we like to break. Yeah. I like having this mic. I like fun. Don't know what I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. That's me. I love it. But it does definitely impede upon your peace over time. So being aware of like how much space you need to walk through an area is really important, and even more so for ADA compliance. That's so important. Knowing like where handicap rails need to go and how they can get around a corner, how wide doorways and hallways need to be so wheelchairs can fit. That is like so important. And like you just don't lackadaisically do that. Like you have to sit. When we sit down to design, it's like nights at a round table. We all sit down at a table on Monday mornings, like we've got our yoga pants on, like any clients around that day, we're like, all right, let's hunker down. All right, why is this space all jacked up? Yep. How do we fix it? No, that's where you got to start. And, all the space planning and making sure it's all measured out first before we ever start selecting anything is so important. So it takes a lot of time. Yeah. To get that done correctly. That's amazing. And like, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, and I'm thinking about all the little places in my house that I'm like, oh, I should move this. I should design that. Like, I should move it, like whatever. But how do you think? So if somebody wants to start small, say they don't have the most money, say, they're just like, oh my gosh, I want to refresh. Kind of like the women that were coming to you in the early days, like just need something a little bit different. Yeah. How do they start? Where do they start? So for our company, we offer different packages we go all the way from like a designer for a day, all the way to like the full ballroom package, right? Where those are the HGTV moments. So if you're just starting out and it's lower budget, we do, it's called a DFAD, designer for a day. And it's just a small contract where we go in the space, we space plan, we see exactly what you need. We sit down, we source those items, we get it all rendered out for you so you can put it up yourself. And then obviously if you need us to come back in and make it pretty, because you can't teach that gut where it's like, no girl, that vase is not
I know we thought it did, but it does not.
Yep, exactly.
You can't teach that. That's just like it's in you or it's not.
Yes.
But so we love to come back in and style it too. So that's like the best way to start out if you need your space to have peace, but maybe the budget doesn't quite align. And then for our high-end residential, that is a very different process where we go in and they get tons of 3D renderings where they can walk in their space and look around, and which is really fun. It's like it's really cool. Neat. It's quite the experience. They come in here in our office, and we put on the big screen for them so they can select everything and make sure that they're good to go. And then we order it all for them. We have it delivered. We put it all together for them and put everything up and then style it. And that is quite the luxury experience. Hiring a designer is a luxury experience, but we can't forget that like where we came from either. So like having a nice space is still affordable if you want to start small. So DFAD, luxury, we do it all.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's like a little piece for each type of person, no matter where they're at. Yeah. And maybe they do start small, and then maybe in a few years they're like, okay, let's do the big one. Or maybe they buy a house and then they really want to dive into it.
Yeah. And for our team, it's really good because our junior designers have a good place to start small and learn and make their mistakes in smaller scales because they're the mistakes that matter.
Right.
That's what my tombstone's going to read.
Yes,
mistakes that matter.
I like that.
But like, that's the other thing about my team though. I want them to have a safe space to make mistakes. We are human.
Yes.
Like AI is cool.
Yeah.
But we're still human. I never want them to feel like they're not vindicated in their mistakes if they do make one. So having our junior designers on those jobs is really good too, so they can nestle in, hunker down, and really learn the processes on a smaller scale. And then they get to grow in our packages as well too. So our lead designers are in charge of our luxury, designs, and then we have junior designers that take care of the DFADs, and then they still go through the whole entire team. We still make sure that it's completely overseen and ready to rock and roll and present. But it's a good way for our team to also grow in those packages too.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's like you're with them every step of the way too. You know, you're teaching them. And what do you feel like is the biggest mistake that somebody makes in design, in home interior design?
Mismeasuring.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like, is that like the difference between like each portrait on the wall, or
no?
Like,
okay, like can you imagine if I measured this wall 3 inches off on accident? And then I ordered $80,000 worth of kitchen cabinets for it, and we had a 3-inch gap on the side. That's a mistake that matters.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
But the reason I was so intricate with my description of that is because it's happened before.
Right.
And it wasn't on our team. We had a software glitch. We have a software system that measures all of our stuff, and they had a glitch. And for like a solid week of our measuring, we were off by 3 inches.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
However many things you were ordering during that time, like
it was all messed up. It was woo. Obviously we fixed it all. It was all fixed. It's all far behind us and all that jazz, but that can be a very expensive mistake. So mismeasuring is definitely number one, and number two is probably 1,200 feet below that one.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So don't mismeasure, people. Measure again. Think you're measuring right. You're not. Like
have your husband measure, have your dog measure.
Exactly. Get out. Don't just do one of the I'm famous for doing these like maneuvers.
Oh, me too.
You know,
me too. Like,
yeah.
All right, it's this one. Yeah, yeah. Walking with my feet.
Exactly.
Like my feet must be like 8 inches. So like makes every step 3 inches apart from my foot. And here's my foot. Yeah.
Or I'll get like a notebook. I'm like, okay, I know this is like 8.5 by 11. Here you go.
Yeah. We're guilty for that. I'm like, we should make this content like when the girls are like, okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Nobody move. Yeah. Okay. Well, I honestly, I could talk to you literally for every day, all day.
Yeah.
But I want to be respectful of your time.
Thank you.
So is there anything else that you would love to share with our listeners? So I'll give you a background. Our listeners range anywhere from 20 years old, young gal in college or working her first job, to 60-year-old retired women and men as well.
Okay.
So
I think it's easy. You will never have it figured out. And give yourself some grace because you won't. And I don't like the term fake it till you make it because that's just silly. And I don't even like face it till you make it because people say that too much. I just feel like give yourself some grace. Don't you dare give up, girl. And you'll never get it right all the time. And treat other people that way too because they won't either.
That's so true. And I honestly, I appreciate you so much for saying that too, because I know like even getting this set up here today, I'm like, oh no, like the camera wasn't working right or whatever. It's like you think about, like, oh, that was embarrassing. And then you're like, everybody's human, you know? you're never
nothing's
gonna,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that about you, that you look so professional, you look so put together, but you are so understanding and compassionate. And that's why I think you and I hit it off right away. Even last year was like, you're real. You put on your makeup in the day and you look your best, but you're real when it comes down to it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I pride myself in that. I mean, people think I look put together. Like earlier today, we were walking in, and this guy was like, "How many hats do you own, KB?" And I was like, when we got here, I was like, "Brooke, the only reason I'm wearing a hat is because I need to desperately wash my hair."
But it looks good. You would never know, Like, I support it.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for having me, girl.
Thank you. Yeah. And I hope to have you on again soon.
Absolutely.
And we'll be connected.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.